Hello there. Hope you're doing well. So here we have a direction for this question is what? Answer the following question based on the information given below. So as we have understood the text, let's jump to the question. So what does the question point out? The question stated here, the author concludes the passage. The author concludes the passage mentioning a critical challenge for psychology with the assumption. The author concludes the passage mentioning a critical challenge for psychology with the assumption that so uh, we need to find out that what uh, asking what assumption the author is making when concluding the passage with a critical challenge for psychology. It seeks to identify the underlying assumption that ties together the main points discussed. Main points discussed, isn't it? Now, let's look at the choices. The choices given here. The first one, the same underlying psychological process can lead to either successful personal growth or mental dysfunction, depending on contextual factors. Second, sudden transformations are purely psychological and do not involve any religious or spiritual dimensions. Third, the distinction between psychosis and religious experiences is well established, subject to significant overlap. And fourth, psychological theories must change to answer all instances of sudden self-transformation without considering external factors or context. Now, if you look at the first option, so um, option one suggests that what the author assumes, right? Author assumes the same psychological process can result in either positive changes, or you can say that personal growth, or negative outcomes that called as a mental dysfunction. So positive growth is called as a personal growth, and mental dysfunction is a negative uh, outcomes. And this depends on the context in which they occur. Right. That is what option one is trying to tell us. So if we see that the author given in the last paragraph, right, concludes the same, isn't it? Now, psychological process can lead to different outcomes, successful personal growth or mental dysfunction, depending on the contextual, contextual, contextual factors. Right. This reflects the assumption that understanding these transformations requires considering various situational factors. So hence we can consider option 1 is true and correct. Look at the option 2. So option 2 is incorrect because the passage does discuss both psychological and you can say that spiritual dimension, isn't it? Psychological and spiritual dimension of sudden transformations. So this option is not accurate actually, right? So whereas option 3 stated about what means the distinction between psychosis and religious experiences is well established, subject to significant overlap. So, if you look into that, the passage highlights the challenge in distinguishing between psychosis and religious experiences due to their overlap, right? Not that distinction is well established, right? Isn't it? Distinction is established. So, you can say that what? Psychosis and religious experiences due to their overlap, right? Not to their distinction. Not to that the distinction is well established. So therefore, we can consider this one is also incorrect. For psychological theories must change to answer all instances of sudden self-transformation without considering external factors or context. Now, the passage emphasizes the role of contextual factors, isn't it? So, the role of contextual factors in understanding sudden and self transformation, right or not? So, it does not suggest ignoring external factors, right? So, In that case, you can say the idea which is pointed without considering or context or without considering external factors or context, which is wrong, right? So here the conclusion that we draw that option one, which is a correct one here, the same underlying psychological process can lead to either successful personal growth or mental dysfunction, depending on contextual factors. So that is the correct answer because it aligns with the author's conclusion that the same psychological process can lead to different outcomes based on the context in which they occur. Isn't it? So hence we can consider option one will be a correct answer. Hope you understood this. That's all.